I think I'm not sure, but I think we might be live. Although I'm not sure. Let me check with my phone. But I think we might be. If you check on your phone.
I'm on my phone.
Oh, I don't know where is YouTube on this one. But on my side, it shows that we are live. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But on my side, it shows that we are live. Yeah, yeah. I can see that we're live. Yeah. Although but anyways, I think if you can be able to do it again some other time, we will try to announce earlier so that we get people in advance.
Right.
Yeah, but as of now, I can see that we are live. Although there's some things that I need to set up. I don't know how to do it, but I know next time I'll be there. Next time I'll be
Okay.
there. But 9 people are watching, so I think it's not bad. So if you're watching today, we have Lloyd, and you can be able to join in the conversation and ask him any question in the chat section. If you're joining us today, we have Lloyd live so that you can be able to ask him any question that you might be having. Yeah, I can see we have some people. But anyways, we can begin with you going forward. Like, do you begin that free energy is a real thing or it's not? Because I see some people saying that's just a dream or a fantasy, and others
Oh,
say,
yeah, that's because of their education. So here's a question. If you go to any AI and you ask the question,
yeah,
if I send out a radio signal, can how many radios can receive the signal before that signal is exhausted? That means it's depleted no more. And the AI will tell you it's unlimited. It cannot be exhausted. That means it goes on forever. That's what it'll tell you. Now, you ask the second question. If my radio is a crystal radio and I put LED lights on there, can I convert the radio waves into electricity? Well, this has already been done. So now you have two systems. One, something that's unexhaustible, goes on forever, and it can be it can be transformed into electricity, usable electricity.
yeah,
So I asked the third question. I said, well, how many crystal radios would it take to run my household? It came back with a number of 10,000. It also tried to um, scold me and says this is unrealistic. Okay. And I like stuff like that. And I was like, okay. So I asked I says, if this is unrealistic, do you recognize that the age of time that we're in, where we're at the nanoscale and the micro scale? I says, I didn't tell you what size I was going to make the crystal radio. Then it came back and said, you're right. If you can put this at a nanoscale, you would only need 3,000 of them, and it could run a household. So I challenge people to ask these questions. Go back and ask these basic questions. And then you'll have your answer if there's free energy or not. What these
There's
people, go ahead.
there's somebody who is asking like, how do you cool down the MOSFETs?
Like you always cool down the MOSFETs. You put heat sinks on there, you liquid cool it, you gel cool it. I just did a video that they use these in the automotive, and he was using a gel pack. But I was also showing you that they get damaged. That's why I was telling you that Maxwell is like, look, why do you think you're going to use someone else's component, which is critical in your system, and think you're not going to have the same problem as everybody else? That's why I put the video out. I wanted to show you that the automotive made these things, they made it solid state. And guess what? Once those things blow, is what did he say? It's unusable. That means the whole car is unusable. And you can't just simply just replace it as a part. You have to take that whole part out and replace it because it's all solid. He had to cut those leads. He said it's unusable and therefore you have to rebuy the whole thing basically. So again, when we're talking about thermal runaway, we're saying that MOSFETs had this inherent problem. We all had the same problem, but we've been dealing with that problem because we coming up with various ways to keep them cool. But there's one way to do it for sure. Stop running them at peak efficiency. That means stop trying to run them at their top level. If you run anything at its top level, you're going to damage it. He hasn't learned that yet. He has to run those things at 1%.
You say you
1%.
you say that you believe that that's the problem which Maxwell is facing.
Yes. There are other problems, but I'm just saying that's the main problem. And he has already responded. He hasn't called me. He's text me, he sent me his email. He sent me messages through other people, which I was going to do a video on it. They all say the same thing. Well, can you solve this problem? Of course, we can solve the problem. They've been solved the problem. Your cell phone used to blow up, your laptop used to blow up. But guess what? They fixed the problem, but they fixed it in the United States. So now you're trying to use United States parts from other projects, and you didn't understand that they made them cheap, trying to curve money. So therefore, when you use somebody else's part and not understanding all the reasons, he understands how they work, but he doesn't understand the faults that were built into it on purpose.
There's somebody who says that you rely on AI too much. Somebody by the name of
Yeah,
Colin Waters.
I bet they do. You know why? You know why? Is because AI is answering our questions, and they
But
hate that. They hate that you're not in the dark anymore. You can literally ask any question you want and get a semi answers, at least to go back and research. Before, you couldn't ask the engineer these questions, you couldn't ask the teacher these questions. They tell you to go to college and spend money you never had and be in debt for the rest of your life. Well, AI just eliminated all that. So yes, you're going to have people that says you depend on it because they want your money.
and also as of now, like AI has the all available information. I think up to 2021.
Say it again. I didn't understand that.
AI like Gemini or Chat GPT, it has all
Okay.
the available information up to 2021.
Some of them do, yes, but they fix that too. You
Yeah.
just gotta go. You just gotta pay. It's a difference between the paid version and the non-paid version.
The paid version has more features.
Yes,
Okay, there is somebody who is saying that that radio waves move away; they don't stay still. Please explain further.
they don't stay still. What do you mean?
Dynasty, if you're around, man, what do you mean? It was a question from somebody by the name of Nails and Dynasty.
Okay.
He was asking like radio waves move away, they don't stay still. I think it was something that you're explaining. Then he said that when you're explaining the problems that,
The sunlight is a wave. It doesn't stay still, and yet you get constant light. See what he's not saying. He thinks it's one little wave and that's it. It's a constant wave. That's how you get radio. If it was just one thing and it moves away, then guess what? You would miss half your radio program, wouldn't you? That
yeah,
means
that's
they have to keep broad. You got to keep broadcasting to get continuous waves. All right, so you can get the whole radio conversation, or you get the whole song. If you only have one little wave burst coming out of it, then you only get a piece of the song, and that's it, right?
yeah,
Okay, so the whole point of radio waves is meaning that whether they're on the air or not, you are constantly getting their signal. That's how radio waves are put out. It's a constant signal. So that signal is unexhaustible, and you can draw upon it without exhausting it. And this is what Nikola Tesla has been trying to teach us. These are the basics. And guess what? We haven't grasped the basics, but you grasp what your former slave masters have told you, and you hold on to it like it's gold. And this is the reason why you can't move on and be independent for yourself, because these things are so easily done, but people are playing games with them. Oh, I built a crystal radio. Okay, I put some LED lights on it. Okay, so what you did is you lit up an LED light for a gigawatt worth of energy. A gigawatt. And if persons don't know what a giga is, they should look it up. Okay, so you just wasted all that energy to light up one LED, and you're not understanding the potentials. That was the potential of saying that this type of energy is unexhaustible and you can use it. Then, when we further ask the question, because one of the things that I used AI, I says, "Thank you for answering my question, AI. Had I asked a human this question, he would have given me sarcasm. He would have like, why are you asking such a stupid question?" They do this because they need to keep you within their box. AI is not a box. It just answers your question. It doesn't have feelings. So it answered my question. And it's like, look, if you did 1,000 crystal radios, you could run your household.
and uh, to take you to Max. Like, do you personally believe that Max will be able to achieve what he says?
If Maxwell asks for help, yeah, he can achieve what he wants to achieve. I kept trying to tell you that he wasn't the first person that did radio waves and uh, all types of waves. Our people in Egypt who built the pyramids worked with waves way before Tesla did. Okay, so
Yeah,
now you have Nikola Tesla bringing it into his era, and he solved problems that today they don't know how to solve because they don't want to go back to his patents. They just say, don't touch it, don't go near it. But transient energy is something everybody should be studying. When you study it, you're going to go, oh, it hurts me. But Nikola Tesla made a transient energy trap. Now, that's my word. It's not an official word. It's not something you can find in a dictionary. What I do is I use words to explain something to a person who may not understand. And a lot of people have a problem with that because they want you to go to college to learn this. Okay.
Yeah.
And when you go to college, they was like, well, they're going to get misunderstandings. But in college, that's the whole point of you to be misunderstood so you don't get outside the box. So when I teach people in my way and you're using it, and these people are mad that you're using something even though you don't know what it is, Al says that's okay because now you can teach them your way, but they already know that they're using something and it's unexhaustible. And that was the point to get them to that point and then let them listen to all the lies and misrepresentative that you start to do. And that's slowly breaking down over our discussions and stuff because a guy just admitted that MOSFETs do put out current after hundreds of them went on my channel, trolled my channel, and says MOSFETs is nothing but a verified resistor. That's the lies I'm talking about. I wanted everybody to see this person right here just called a MOSFET, a transistor. That's what a MOSFET is, a transistor, a nothing but a glorified transistor. And I wanted them to read his words. And then he got laughed out of the YouTube because it was ridiculous. And I says, this is what we're talking about, what a troll is. He's going to tell you misinformation so you stay paying for their energy when Nikola Tesla said he wanted to give free energy to the world. And everyone heard it, everyone's read it. We just didn't know how to do it. So when I start speaking up and telling people how to do that, that's where they have a problem with. Not how I describe it or I you learn how to speak or you speak properly. That's stuff people do when you're in high school. It's
So
called bullying.
there's somebody who's saying that what you're describing, uh, somebody by the name of Catman is saying that what you are describing is called the carrier wave. As soon as the power switch is turned off, the carrier wave is off.
Okay. So
I think it
I don't have
means
a problem with that. Okay, it's a carrier wave. That a carrier wave is words and energy into a wave. Yes, it is a carrier wave, but it's exactly what we're trying to explain. Now, you read what he just said. How does that help you understand how to get free energy? That knowing that it's a carrier wave,
uh,
huh?
that's a good question. But I think it means if I search for a carrier wave, I'll get more information about the same. There is a comment from Colin Waters who says I think he got it from ChatGPT that at 10 miles from a 10 kilowatt transmitter, the free space power density is around 3.08 microwatt per meter square, which according to
Okay,
him is very small. I think 0.00 is very small. Yeah?
okay. So they're saying
I
it's
think it
very
means it's
small.
impossible. Yeah?
Again, he's doing measurements. And this is what scientists do. He's doing measurements. We know when they put out that signal is either at the kilowatt, the megawatt, or the gigawatt. Okay. These are the
Yeah.
signals they put out. When you're talking about microwaves and other type of waves, you're talking about extreme waves. So yeah, you're going to have scientists coming in and they're going to pop in these numbers. But again, I ask you, while you pop in these numbers, how does it show the person how to utilize it in a way that's useful for him? Huh? How's all those numbers you just quoted useful in an everyday life? What it's meant to do is to give you this number, discourage you from even looking at this as a energy source. It's trying to say, I'm bigger than you, I know more than you. Just sit and be quiet and pay your masters all the money that you work for. That's what it's for.
Then we have Cartman again saying that Tesla's system never worked at that is Wardenclyffe, Shoreham, New York, and it still doesn't work in Milford, Texas. I think he's from the US.
And here we go again. He said it still does not work. Well, here's a question for that person. If it didn't work, why did the FBI raid his house, take all his notes, and then redact everything so you couldn't read how it worked or why it worked? So the whole point is that they told you this information, but you couldn't get it from the actual person, which even in the Tesla Museum, if you look up Tesla Museum on there, they don't even have the non-redactive information. Why is it being hidden? Why is everybody being so secretive? It doesn't work. So why are you keeping this as a top secret? It doesn't work. I don't understand that. Do you understand something? If you say it doesn't work, why all the secrecy? Why all these? I can't tell you this. Why you got black lines through all his work? Why are they trying to hide something that doesn't work?
That's a good question. So you do before we go to what I was to ask, there is somebody by the name of Trag Sigma. He says, I agree that this tech we were never taught. How will I, as a lay person, learn the steps to build this for my use? He wants to learn
And
how to
I,
be able to do it.
well, I give him people who are working with this so they can be part of learning. So you can see how it's basically put together and explained. Um, Again, Mal, which I put on a lot of my YouTube channels, I told him to look at his video, look how he explained it, and he has this main coil. That means your transmitter. So you're transmitting this energy, okay?
Yeah.
And then he makes a coil on the side. And he puts just an iron core. It has no wire around it. He just puts an iron inside this iron core, and it picks up and starts lighting the LED. He can do that 2 million times because what he's showing that if you transmit a radio wave, it is unlimited, just like AI told you. This is the reason why people have problems with AI because when they said it's unexhaustible, he was like, well, how can I use this? Well, Mel just showed you how to use it. He showed you how to build it. He gave you free schematics. We need to just start paying attention to something so minor. And I understand it's just an LED light, but what ends up happening with these showing of the LED light is to ask the question, even though this is a big, bulky system, how many of these LED lights can it take to run my household? If you say that's a ridiculous question, then you really didn't want to know. If you really wanted to know the answer and you asked AI and the computer analyzed this and says, well, the It takes this many amps and this many volts to run this LED lights. So to equal that out, this is how many you would need to run your household. All of a sudden, you have an answer. Okay. So then when you go and says, what happens when you shrink that radio down into a very small size? Who said it had to be this big, bulky radio? How come it can't just be what we say a chip, a microchip on a wafer that was already in your phone? Can it be this size? AI is going to tell you, yeah, we can make radios that size. Well, if I make enough of them and they pull in enough to light an LED light, then shouldn't I be able to put the number you quoted into that microchip, into that nano chip? The answer is yes. But now you're talking about Star Trek technology. Okay, that's just the colorful way I try to get people to understand, because now you're doing something they didn't want you to do unless they knew about it, and that's what happened with computers. They threw out the computer, thought it was no good. Some engineers in their garage put the computer together, and they got so far ahead of the government that to today they're still ahead of the government. So the government make rules so you don't get ahead of them. They always want to be in charge of you. And this is what's going on in America now, where the government says, I have absolutely all the power. I want to be in charge, and I want to make enough regulations and laws to keep you in modern day slavery. And they call that economic slavery. If I control your money, I control you. But when you start building stuff like this out of scraps people throw out, then how can they control you? So they have to control information. So all I'm doing is say, look, how about you just do what the rest of the community is doing on YouTube and build these things and then find out for yourself. If you don't want to do that, why are you trolling my YouTube channel trying to prove something is wrong when we already proved that it's right, and hundreds of other people are saying that it's right and they're using it? Either you want to stay in the dark or you don't. You either going to pay attention in school or you're going to be a bully trying to criticize thinking that's really going to work. It's just simple like that. This is what done 100 years ago. It's already been done. It's done in Egypt, so thousands of years ago. We're rediscovering it, and the more people who come aboard and just do these simple experiments, all of a sudden you're going to start using them. And I can show you example people um, making energy harvesters, and he's using them. He's actually making usable electricity. And I says, okay, now you can only run this radio, but if you keep going, you're going to run something bigger, and then you're going to make it smaller, and you're going to make it more efficient. You keep working with the basics, and then it turns into something extraordinary. But first, you have to understand the basics. And that's all we've been trying to tell people. I says, when he said he can take radio waves and drive a car, look at the video I did, the last video that says, if you don't, um, if you if you troll me, then I'm going to tell people more and more about it. Because what happened is that you're showing that you're afraid that these people are finding out the truth. And all I did was take a clip from the automotive that says they use MOSFETs, triggering with a very low voltage to send it to high speed to make AC current. And that's all you needed to hear, to make AC current. So then I asked other people, I says, look, you understand transit energy. If you switch a MOSFET at high speeds, Does it make transit energy? And he says yes. Is that energy pulse current? He said yes. Okay, so what are we talking about? Why don't you want everybody using that?
So what what you're talking about, there is a comment from Colin Waters. He says that MOSFETs can certainly generate current spikes, but they definitely do not create energy themselves.
Okay, did you comprehend what you just read? Just comprehend what he just said. It makes current
Yeah,
spikes, but that's not energy.
yeah,
See
that's
how
what.
your mind is
Even
trying to get
even
around
today,
because
even even today, there's somebody who who also told me in the comment section that they can be able to do that, but they are just more like switches. They are not. They are
yeah,
unable to create energy.
yeah, I know. I
He
read
directed
that.
me
I'm
to a
I'm doing
certain
a YouTube
video.
video.
Yeah,
I'm doing a YouTube video on that because then what happened is I sent them what AI said. That's why they're angry, and AI says no. Transit energy is current, and it is a usable current. That means if it's a current, it is energy. So you have to find out what their definition of energy because they're confusing you, not me. I know this. I'm trying to get you to realize that they just told you you had electricity in current. Okay, this is the very current that charges your batteries, but he just told you it wasn't energy. You figure that out. You figure that out. It's like, hey, I have light, but it's not light. And if you fall for it and you stop doing the experiments, then
yeah,
you never go past or what someone else told you. Oh, you can't do that. Well, go see for yourself. If you got current, you touch it, you will learn that it's energy going through your body. Okay.
yeah.
So again, when you're reading these statements, you're reading statements from people that either don't understand or they work for some company and they want you to keep buying their products. So they tell you these things, and I'm going, wait a minute. What you're saying, if you really sit down and think about it, okay, what is the form of energy? And energy comes in all different forms. If I lift my hand, I have to use energy to do that. Okay? That's just another form of energy. So why would he even mention that it's energy spikes, but don't use it.
He
Don't
says
pay attention. Don't look over here.
he says
The
current
Wizard
spikes.
of Oz.
He says current spikes. I understand, but current has to be current. Like current is different from if you're talking about energy, or in terms of power. Then I think it's what he means. It's different from the current spikes, and the current spikes he means in this case, I think it's the ones that you are arguing with the other guys the other day. If you remember in the interview, the guys who call you, and but at the end they accepted that you have those energy spikes, those current spikes, and they damage the electronics.
Yes, because they're large and what's name. That's why Tesla made an energy trap. And again, I'm using my own words to describe something. It's not the official words. Okay. What he
Okay.
did is he made a bucking coil. Okay. In that bucking coil, because it's just wire wrapped around a coil, but he one wire is wrapped to the right, the other is wrapped to the left, and it has a center tap. You can't blow that up. It's just wire. So what happened is that all those energy spikes go into you, and I don't care how big they are or how massive they are, they go into this device, and then they're able to draw out usable current from it without it overheating and without damaging it. Now that's the old way to do it. It's big, it's bulky, it's not as small as a transistor. Okay. The MOSFETs are transistors. So the whole point is that you have a modern day and you had Nikola Tesla's day. When you look at his patents, how do you describe it in your words, not their words? So I use my words to describe he made a trap. It's a Faraday cage for these energy spikes. And I don't care if they were um, as big as our world. This trap holds them in, and you're able to get usable energy out from them.
And
So you have to
in,
study.
if I take you back in regards to what you talked in some other time, you say that you've been using this technology for over 10 years to light up or to power your house. Like, I know many people had requested for proof or something in regards to that. They say that
Hmm.
they haven't seen any proof of yours also in regards to
They're
the
not
same.
looking for. They're not looking any proof because me, you, Maxwell, and a bunch of other people has been telling them all this stuff. Now you got people giving you free schematics, and that's what it is. But even with they giving it out free, what have they done with it? They haven't done anything with it. They're not a part of our groups. They're not sitting down studying with us. So how are they saying, "Hey, show me proof"? They don't want to see proof. What they want to do is criticize. If you want to know proof, we gave out the information for free. All you have to do is go and research it yourself. So why aren't they doing that?
So, do you like? Does that mean that also Maxwell should not be able to show more proof?
Say it again. Maxwell doing what?
Do you mean Maxwell should not show his proof as well?
No, he doesn't have to show his proof. You realize that the reason why he sent me his email, the reason why he communicated um, to me, is because I had something to say. Am I right? If I
Yeah.
was wrong, he would just ignore me. He wouldn't have wrote back. Period. If I was wrong, the whole point is that I was right. And the reason why I was right is because everybody in the entire industry who uses those MOSFETs has the same problem. That's what I'm trying to say. It's just a common problem. Everybody is taking them, and they're blowing up on you. They're overheating. So if everybody in the industry see, especially when you shrink them down small like that, and you get the thermal runaway. If everybody's having the problem, why doesn't he think he's going to have the same problem? All you're doing is just pushing your MOSFETs too hard or your transistors too hard. Everybody tries to get the peak information, uh, the peak energy out of them. And when you do that, you're damaging it. It doesn't want to be ran at its peak efficiency. You have to run them under its peak efficiency. And here's the thing. I bought an inverter. You guys seen the picture, the big blue blocks. And the first thing it says, do not run this at full capacity. Now, this thing is supposed to put out 1,000 watts of power. But if you push it at 1,000 watts of power, even with those enormous fans that's cooling those MOSFETs, it's going to not last as long. And they tell you this. They said run it at 50%. So that 1,000 watts just get knocked right in half, because if I run it at peak efficiency, it's going to not last as long. They tell you this with batteries. He says, don't take a lead acid battery and drain it empty. You're damaging the batteries. So you can only use 50% of that battery. They said drain it 50% and then start charging it. This battery will last very long if you do that. But all these things, you just knocked half the energy in the battery off. It's like I can't use all the energy. That's why they went to lithium, because these other batteries, they didn't mind if you drain them all the way and get all the energy out of it. But now they have a problem with thermal runaway too. They explode, catch on fire, which we've seen. Bikes, what's names catching on fire. We've seen this. The Tesla car uses the same battery, catching on fire right in front of a hotel. Okay? So the whole point is they're all having the same problem with this thermal runaway. And Maxwell thinks that he's came up with something that the whole world hasn't thought about, only him. And then he started using pieces of someone else's work. A MOSFET he didn't create. We can see it on his device. So we had to look. That little fan, he didn't create that little fan. He didn't create a heat sink made from aluminum. He didn't make aluminum. So how are you thinking that you're going to use other people's products and think you know more about it than they did when they first created it, which was almost 100 years ago? And then tell everybody that you don't have any formal education.
Uh, we have this one from, before we continue, we have this one from Del Canoa. He says he wanted to ask more about MOSFETs. So I think according to him and what Maxwell is doing, he was asking that maybe they just charge capacitors at high frequency and deliver to 60 hertz, and that way it seems like they are making energy. I think
Okay.
he's referring to the demonstration they were showing, where you are seeing it was showing 60 hertz, the
Yes.
frequency.
So, but you're seeing this. It's making energy. Is putting energy into a capacitor. It doesn't matter where it goes in the battery, the capacitor. It doesn't matter. If you don't have MOSFETs, his system doesn't work.
And you also know, I told you that he said 70% components were his. Although you say that,
And those 70% components don't work without that one component. You take out that one component and none of his stuff works.
and also there's some time he said, I know he has also mentioned Tesla's work at some time. So,
Yes, because he's the person who got documented, has patents of working with radio waves. So why would you ignore somebody in our history that worked with radio waves and say, "Oh, he doesn't. What I'm doing is different." It's like, wait a minute, it's a radio wave. How are you doing something different? It's a radio wave. And when he starts to make these descriptions of what he's doing, it was like, but we were already doing that. This is a radio wave. We've made from transistor radios to microwaves that your phone use to satellites. Are you really trying to tell me that you know more about radio waves than we do in the United States? And we're putting satellites in the earth so you can even communicate. Right now, you guys couldn't even communicate if it wasn't for the technology around the world that other countries has put out. United States and other countries has put out. But yet Maxwell thinks in his young age that he knows more than everybody around the world when it comes to radio waves. So, guess what we do? We say, oh, we'll give you a chance, Maxwell. Where's your product? You're still waiting, aren't you? 8 years and counting, still waiting. Okay.
Yeah,
So we were going to continue to wait. I'm not knocking him. I'm just telling you facts. We're going to continue to wait until he puts out a product so we all can see. But
we have
meanwhile,
we
you
have
got
somebody
me explaining how it works.
we have somebody else who has joined,
Okay.
but I think they have muted their mic or something. And mute request has been sent to. Anyways, you can. There's
They'll
somebody
figure it
else. True Sigma is asking that if a battery is being used to switch the MOSFETs at high frequencies to generate the current, where do radio waves come into play?
because they're electromagnetic waves. So again, I would tell people to try to understand what a MOSFET does. That's why I tell people to go to AI. This is a basic question. AI is not going to get that wrong. If you're switching something, it's called back EMF. This is where the spike comes from. So when you get this back EMF, that is in the spectrum where radio waves exist. It also is in the spectrum where light waves and all the other waves exist. So when you don't understand those simple things, this is the reason why they can tell you anything they want to, what you've seen, you just read on the show. Oh, this thing doesn't make energy. Well, then how is it making the spikes if it doesn't make energy? Just explain this. That's just crazy. You just said it made a spike. What is this spike made out of? It Jello? What is it made out of? Is Jello coming out of the MOSFET? Just explain what this is, and then they get stuck because they know that that's energy coming out the spike. And it's spikes that they said is dangerous to their circuit. Okay. Instead of learning how to control the spike and then get energy from it, they throw it in the garbage. They just threw the baby out with the bathwater. Okay. That's what they're telling you to do. Now do what I did. Throw that baby right out. And all I'm saying, but you have what you've been asking for. You have the free energy. That's the baby right there. Why are you
And
throwing it away?
and we have Tom. I think Tom Bagres, the dude. I think he's the one who has joined, but he has refused to unmute the mic. He's saying that seriously, I can tell you a lot more about radiant energy than anybody else. I actually do power my house with it and switched to geoelectrical power systems when I heard NCA was coming. I don't know. Do you think he's telling the truth? I think he's the one who has joined, but he has unable to. He doesn't
You
want to
you
unmute
got
the
you got to
microphone.
understand. I don't doubt anybody on what they say. What
Yeah,
I'm saying is that yes, a lot of people understood this technology. A lot of people work with this technology. Everybody claims that they know more than everybody else. I'm not claiming that. I'm not claiming that I know everything about radio waves. I'm still studying about radio waves. But guess what? Ask this person, has he built a satellite and put it in around the orbit? Okay? Because that runs on radio waves. If you can do something, you do. Here's the thing about it. Let's break this down into something simple. Do you cook? Can you cook? I'm asking you as the host, Webb, can
yeah.
you
I
cook?
do cook. I do cook. Yeah.
Okay. Have you cooked?
Yeah, I've already eaten.
Okay, so people who know how to do. You see what I'm saying? This is a simple little thing. If you know how to do it, you're going to do it. Am I right?
Yeah, I think you can talk now. Yo, taste. I think taste fan or what? You don't want to talk, man. Anyways, Catman says you had said about the FBI breaking into Tesla's apartment. So Catman says that Tesla apartment was raided at the start of World War II, and his work was blackout using ink. They cannot unink it. My own father had his letter censored the
Yeah,
same
that's
way.
called redact. That's called redacting. That's what it's called. Anytime you
Hello?
black out something, you call it redacting. But
Hello.
here's again, I go back to the original statement. Why would you redact something? Why does the FBI, the government, care if it doesn't work? If it doesn't work, why are we doing it? They're not coming into your house, taking your notes and putting black ink through it. So
You,
if it didn't work, why did they do all that?
your test. You can be able to say something. I know you have joined, but
Hello?
yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Actually, I was following everything you post on the on your YouTube channel. That's very good, and I'm very happy. And that's actually very nice. And that's is actually the original work of Nikola Tesla. I already saw the patent, and the only difference is that Nikola, I think, in his patent uses a motor for switching on and off. And now in your work, you substituted or replaced that with MOSFET. Actually, this MOSFET can be replaced by different types of switches, like uh, maybe like HCR or track or even transistor. Actually, we use MOSFET only because it handles a large current. That's why we use MOSFET. And actually, it's possible if we use a MOSFET in the primary type. I mean, and we switch on and off the MOSFET at high frequency, possible to generate the current. So I think it's applicable, and uh, it's not uh, it's not to accept any comment from people that reject or don't like free energy, because there are so many patents which is suppressed in the US trademark and patent office already. There are thousands of patents there. So I saw different patents. So I think I accept this work, and this is very good. And I would like to appreciate both of you. So it's just to say, keep it up.
It's okay, man.
Okay. All right.
You can you we, so there's somebody who says that the thing about Maxwell Chikumbuso, it is a rehash of Henry Morey's invention back in the 30s. I don't know. Have you heard about Henry Morey's invention? Morey.
Yes. Yes.
Do you think it's true?
This
Like,
yeah.
I think it means it's a
Henry
copy.
Henry Moray machine worked on the same thing that Mel is using. So if anybody really wants to understand what these guys are doing, so when you go to his video, you'll see that he has this coil. It's called a bucking coil. It makes current. Okay, and this is what you need because voltage is around the world. You have the ionosphere, and if you put a plate in the sky and you put a plate on the ground, you make a capacitor. But this is only potential energy. Okay, so
Yeah.
you have to vibrate that energy, or what we say, put a frequency in it. Basically, saying it has to go back and forth. If you make something go back and forth fast enough, it starts to put out these electromagnetic back EMF, they call it, spikes that come off of it. These spikes can be used and they're unexhaustible. So any other antennas around it will start to be putting out energy. That's how they came up with wireless energy. It was like if I put my phone on this wireless energy plate, it works. But remember, they said that wireless energy didn't work until they plugged it into the wall, and then you can now charge your phone wirelessly. So either it works or it doesn't work. Then they go, oh, well, you can only get so much power out of it. Okay. So what if I stack all that power? That little power turns into big powers. If I do that with batteries, I can take one single battery and join them together and make one big powerful battery. It works with everything when you start to join them together. Then they, oh no, they're back to the point it doesn't work. They're playing this game. Don't look behind the curtain of the little man. He's insignificant. Look at me. I'm the fire breathing wizard. This is the Wizard of Oz story. They're telling you don't look at something, and if you buy into it, you gave up free energy. So all this thing, if you can't have more power out than in, let them
Yeah.
explain radio waves. They already knew this. Even scientists are writing papers on it now. There is certain cases where you can have more power out than you put in. Why? Because radio waves are inexhaustible. Inexhaustible. Okay. Matter of fact, they're going to travel out through space. Matter of fact, we build telescopes to pick up radio waves from distant planets light years away.
So
Okay.
uh, there's another question for you. This Colin Waters is asking if you have closed the loop on your LED stroke PV or battery system.
Yes, I use that pass through charging. And it seemed to me that a lot of people didn't want to learn what pass through charging could do. This is another thing that they tell you, oh, it damages the battery. Don't use this technology. Then they stopped trying to sell the technology. But here's the thing. If you look at how a car is designed, the alternator runs off the motor, okay? And then the alternator's job is to recharge the battery. So in my solar system, that little battery, which runs the light, which is the motor of the solar cells, is the motor, gets recharged from the big battery. And he was like, well, can you do that? Because I created current in the system using the MOSFETs. So I took all that wasted voltage and I triggered the MOSFET with the low signal, which switches it on and off, and it does make current. Now that I have some voltage and current, I can now charge my batteries. Now, here's the thing, and here's the confusing thing. Amps and current are two different things, but they're related. But here's the thing. When you're using current through your charge controller and you look at the reading, you only have volts and amps on a charge controller. So guess what it's going to come up as? That pulse current is going to come up as a reading as amps. Here's another definition. Transformers is another pulse current device. Okay. So therefore, turning it on and off gives you this current. So when you plug in your stuff and everybody tells you how to do electrician, especially in school, they're going to tell you volts times amps. If it's
But
volts times amps in that electrical plug that everybody uses in every household around the world, then ask them, where's the amps? Amps can't do this. So if I turn off this pulse, what do you have? You have DC. Okay, if I got DC, then this is not amps, is it? It's called current. Okay, so this play on words going back and forth, it's current, it's amps, it's not amps, it's current. They're playing a game that's
uh,
what what is that one where it says who's on first?
I need to cut you
That's the
short on
game
that.
that they're playing.
Uh, Many people have an issue with you when it comes to that issue, but I know, like, when you we were at school, uh, the unit of current was amps, and the way you explain it, current is different from amps. So, but then many people have an issue with you, especially on that part. I think
Of course.
we have somebody who has joined.
Well,
But
here's the thing.
Bertrand,
I put a thing out to explain what current is and how many different forms of current it is. I also put out the different forms of amps, but the
yeah,
whole point is people know one thing: volts times amps. That's all they know, and they haven't went any further unless you are studying it. And if you're studying it, then you start to learn these other things, but the way they explain it doesn't help you learn that if you pulse voltage at a high frequency, you're going to get a usable current out. And you can charge things, you can use it, you can ride your e bike just on pulse current. And that pulse current was created by Nikola Tesla. It was in his antenna. The very thing that they describe it incorrectly on purpose. They said that Nikola Tesla was going to send energy through the air. We all heard this explanation. But I wrote a paper that says no. If his first antenna was going to take the electricity from the air and the sky, and then he was going to amplify it, why wouldn't he do that for all the other antennas? He didn't have to transmit anything but a radio wave. Then I asked, what was he supposed to be designing in the first place for JP Morgan? That was a radio tower. He was supposed to be doing a broadcast. He then told JP Morgan that he was going to do both. He was going to give free energy to the world and transmit these radio waves. That's because the frequency in which to turn on and off the um, the high voltage spikes gives you the current out. This is called pulse current. When you learn this, you can do this. That means you can take a radio wave, and if you pulse it fast enough, you're going to get voltage times current, and you can run anything you want.
okay. There's a guy who joined Bertrand, or are you still around?
Hello?
Do you want to say something?
No, yes, I just because as I wrote, I've heard a lot of people talking about this technology, the devices that was produced by Maxwell and so on, and people are
Yeah.
just trying to know if it works or no, on what is the fundamentals, what is the theory behind his device. But there's something very important that Maxwell said, as I wrote. He said he got the technology from revelation. He said it at least one or two times. I heard it on some videos. But this is very important. This could be a debate. How do you get? How can you do? Can someone get the best idea on something? How do you get the information actually? How is our consciousness working actually? This is what it's about. And this is maybe something that could be more revolutionary than even the device itself. This is my opinion.
I see.
Okay, he said that very fast, so break it down for us.
Bertrand,
Yeah.
he said that you are too fast. They say
I was
that
too
our
fast.
accents are very fast, English accent.
Uh, okay, maybe I will try to go slowly. Yes, I was just saying that since Maxwell came out with these devices or this technology, uh, he was trying to convince people that actually it works. But it seems that the people who didn't want to give him a patent on it because they don't know the principle. Okay, driving his own this technology. So I was saying that, well, when I listen to Maxwell at least two or three times on some videos, okay, that are posted on the internet on YouTube, Maxwell said something that's very important to my opinion. He said he got the technology, he got the idea from revelation,
Yeah.
and recently he said it again when he went to see the president. I think he said it again that okay, still now he has some visions that God is showing him a lot of things. This is what he said, but no one is trying to understand what he said. But I feel like this is what very important because as I myself I am a physicist and I used to wonder how we can get an idea. Where does the idea comes from? This is my question I used to have. Why do some people can have some good ideas and some do not have? Why are some people geniuses and some no? So this is maybe something we need to check to take and try to understand. You know, this is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I've seen your comment. I've seen your comment. His comment says that I have heard people talking about the device, but none is trying to understand what Maxwell once said, which is very important. He said he got the technology from revelation. So I think Bertrand is trying to say that that point of him getting the technology from a revelation, like God given, is more important than any other thing. Than the technology itself, even if he has not yet shown us maybe how it works and all that. But I think that one depends on somebody's faith. Anyways, but
No,
the
let me
question was,
let me answer that.
yeah,
Whether you believe or not, I particularly believe.
yeah,
One, God doesn't just have shown one person; He shows many people, and He hopes that you take this and you spread it out on the world. So the whole point is that when He gets these revelations, is He trying to take something God gave Him for free and make money from it? Okay, He's already said in our Bible that He drew drove out these people out of his temple who wanted to be merchants and make money. God gave this to you free, give it out free. But if you're trying to make $10,000 per unit so you can get to be a billionaire while you have people who are starving, who need this to clean water, and you get mad at me for showing you for free, then I have a problem with how you believe in revelations. Why are people upset at me to give out this information for free? Because then it takes money from him. God gave it to him free. He should give it out free. There's too many people on this world who are suffering, who need this type of technology so they can come out of the poverty that they're in. And all they have to do is use the garbage that most people throw away, and they can build this. And I have examples from people all over Africa,
Yeah.
that there are children who went into the garbage and built 3D printers. So they have the ability to do these things. So why aren't we teaching this so they can uplift everyone to the level that he understands? That's the message that God tries to give us. But the day you distort God's word of trying to make money, then yes, I have a problem with that.
I think they have indicated it on their website. They say technology's website. They say that the technology is free. It's free energy, but you don't get it for free. And I guess it's because of the components that they have to build.
So
Some of the
Maxwell was
components, I
written
think,
when he was born,
they
right?
because they are spending on components, so they charge for it.
Oh, he whoa. See, you need to go back to his original work. Maxwell said he him himself went and ripped this out of other components people threw away when he was younger.
That was the radio. He said that was the radio tower or something, which he did with from West in
Okay.
1999, I think.
Okay. So then he got money. He started making money, and then all of a sudden he started buying the components. And this is what we're talking about. Okay, you're buying the components. You fell into the thing. You were getting it free. Okay. You were
Yeah.
taking the garbage other people have and building these things for free. And then you fell into the rut that they need all of us to fall into. Okay, don't use the one in the garbage. I want you to buy it from me. So now you're buying these components, and now you need money. So now you have to take money from other people who are disadvantaged. And all I just simply said, how come you didn't teach them to go in the garbage and do it the same way you did it? Why didn't you pass that good word God gave you and make sure that they all can come up to be on the same level as you?
Then uh, we have Colin Waters. But then from your side, you can't see the comments, right? I think you can't see them. So we have Colin Waters. You were saying that, as far as I can tell, Maxwell has not given out enough information for anyone to know what he is doing. He claims to harvest energy from radio waves, but that is not sufficient enough. Everyone is just speculating. So I know you said you know how it works. Do you believe that you're also speculating, or
Okay, see, and here's what we say when we speculating. He put out pictures and showed his device, and he really thinks that people can't look at what he's shown and know how those components work. How is that a speculation when I can look at the MOSFETs and said, hey, that's a MOSFET he's using. Hey, that's a fan that he's using. Hey, that's a heat sink. How is that speculation when we can see it with our own eyes?
yeah, that's a good question.
And if you
Some of
know, if you're an engineer and you know how these component works, you go, oh, we know what he's doing because guess what? We made those components. If you listen to the podcast, remember the guy on the podcast says he makes those components here in the United States. But you have somebody who's now telling you they you're only making this up. And it's like, wait a minute. If you read a book, he says, I can see the book. I may not be near the book, but I can see it. I can see the words on there. And they said, well, you're just speculating. I was like, no, I can see the book. That's not speculation. I can see the title on the book. That's not speculation.
Yeah, yeah. So Colin says that he's just trying to understand, but Maxwell is claiming, like he's just trying to understand what Maxwell is claiming, but he's being very vague. It means he's not sharing information like maybe how people want. Then,
I don't blame him. I have no problem with him keeping all his work secret. But when you show people your work, it's not secret anymore. You they're going to know part of what you did. They may not know everything, but they'll know part of what you did. And guess what? What you've shown, people can reverse engineer it.
yeah, that's true.
See, again, I'm not knocking what he's doing. Everybody wants me to knock him so they can have something to say, but I'm not knocking his work. First of all, we're still waiting on his work. Are we not?
Yeah, we are waiting. Actually, this topic has like I think two or three sides. There is a side which believes that Maxwell is right, especially most people from my continent. Then there is another side which believes that is wrong and is just scamming people. And now there is a side which has not yet decided. So I saw like a day when I posted about something to do with the pastor saying that they don't have any product or anything related to it. I lost like I think about 100 subs from that very video. So there are people who feel attacked or like as if you're attacking them when you point out towards something, but you're just showing them what is happening anyways. So I know that also when like for you when you choose the side of Maxwell and you say that he has something working, but you're not sure about it, but you know that I mean you say that you know it's working, but he has some problems which he needs to solve. So I know again you will get some people attacking you on your side.
Yeah, but I'm not worried about that because here's the thing.
Yeah.
Everything that I'm showing them, everything that I'm giving them, they can go out and build it for themselves and find out. Okay. Now, here's what I'm also saying. If I show you how to do something and said this is Nikolai Tesla's work, and say that Maxwell is doing something totally different, but he never shows you what he does. That this is the 8 years and expanding. That means we're going past 8 years. We're going into 9 and then 10 and 11. So he's still waiting, but I'm giving you something that works. I'm giving you the person who did something with radio waves and got patents and that you can use those patents until Maxwell shows what he did to prove that it's totally different from everyone else, then the speculation is on their part because they keep saying he did something different. Okay, where is it? Okay, so now I'm giving you something that you can use right now. Okay, I got countries who want to contract with me, and I says, okay, let's put it out there. They're trying to sell it. I'm arguing with them. Just give it out free.
You
Okay.
you
They
mean
was like,
you
no.
mean you mean you have people who have reached out, they want to sell your technology?
Yeah, well, I got Saudi Arabia contacted me. I got Indonesia. I got Malaysia. I have the Philippines. I got all these people contacting me to get this information. You know, I even have people contacting me, just give me the schematics. And I said it on my video, which you seen. I says, look, I don't have a problem giving it out to you. But when you tell me that you don't care about people, you just care about money, you read it for yourself. Am I right? I'm not lying, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to tell you no, because this is the very problem that we have. I don't care about people. I care about money. Why would I give you this so you can go out, put it in a store, and say, if you don't sell it, I don't care if you die? That's not what I'm on. That's not what God is about. That's not about how revelations come to us people who are working with this type of technology. So I'm not knocking what Maxwell is doing. What I'm trying to say is that Maxwell hasn't put out anything. I have a theory on how it works because it's based on radio waves. Radio waves, if he's doing something different, let him come forward. We'll wait. We'll wait for that.
For how long?
Everybody, I'm telling you, we're going to keep waiting until he puts
For,
it out.
for
But
how long? For how long?
meanwhile, I'm going to give you free stuff until he does. The reason why, because when he gives out his thing, trying to sell it for this enormous price that he quoted, and he did quote $10,000, you will already have the information or something different that gives you free energy. Period. You'll have it. All you have to do is build it for yourself. So if you can't afford the price of $10,000 and you go in the garbage and you get these components and you build it for free, you solved your own problem. That's what God wants you to do. Okay?
I see. Oh, I think yesterday I saw a comment. Uh, Somebody was trying to ask your technology, like it's something that you can only use for to power the house, but you can't be able to use like when it comes to vehicles like EVs. He wanted to know if you can be able to use it for EVs,
Yeah, you
but I
can.
thought you can be able to use it. How? I thought how?
You that's the whole point is you keep saying how, but you don't want to understand the basic of the technology. We
Let me
keep trying to
understand.
explain it. Okay, we show you videos. We telling you how it works, and they keep saying, "I don't understand. I don't understand." How are you going to understand how it's going to work in a scooter if you can't understand the basics of the what we're trying to teach? And we're talking about this is rudimentary. This is for children. So if you can't understand what one component does, how are you going to build a motorcycle or a scooter? See, you jumping from one space. You was like, I'm in kindergarten, but I want to go to college. Why can't I go to college? It's like, first maybe you should learn your ABCs before you go to college. See, it's just simple as that. If they understand what I'm trying to give them, whether Maxwell or not, I'm right about him or I'm wrong about him, you have a device that's giving you free energy. So how come they're not learning to do this? All they have to do is sit down, get these little components. They don't cost that much. If you can't afford them, people throw out everything from microwaves to toaster ovens to uh, everything. These components are in those electronics. Go in the garbage and get them, rip them right out, desolder them, and then use them. And you will learn that you can take those components and make all the power you want to once you understand how they work.
See, we have Colin Waters. He says that if Lloyd knows what Maxwell is doing, perhaps he should publish a circuit. But I think you said you are going to publish a book.
Go ahead.
He was saying that if Lloyd knows what Maxwell is doing, perhaps he should publish a book, a circuit.
I've already have, and I gave it out free. See, here's another thing I keep telling people. Remember before I made my video showing um how my houses ran? People was like, "Well, if you know what he's doing, how come you haven't done it?" I was like, "Why do these people think they know what I've been doing?" It's like you think that no one else around the world are doing anything similar as he's been doing. And I keep trying to refer them back to saying, this is a radio wave. How do you figure people are not doing this? So I asked you, our host, Chris, I says, go on the web, on the YouTube, and look up Crystal Radio runs LED lights. In order to LED lights to light up, you have to have electricity. So if you can take a crystal radio from radio waves, turn it into usable electricity, and light a bunch of LED lights, why do Maxwell think he's the only person working with radio waves? A crystal radio is 100 years old. It was before Maxwell was even born. Okay? Why do you think that you have the golden goose over everyone else who came before you? Okay. So if you say God gave you this, he should give you common sense to say, hey, it's other people who've been working with something similar or the same thing. That's to be determined. We'll never know that if you never put anything out. The day you put something out, we can all sit down and have a discussion like we're having right now. But if you never put anything out, then what you end up doing, what you end up doing is you're saying stuff that you can do, but it's just words. Then you have a guy who's coming in and saying, hey, let me show you what I think he's doing. And if it's free and everybody's using, then if everybody starts using that free item, then when you come out with yours for sale, people are like, well, why would I buy that if I can go get it for free? That's all we're telling him. It was like, okay, I don't mind helping you. I don't mind you making money if that's what you want to do. Okay. But if you're saying that I'm wrong, 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 which he hasn't said yet, then and you never put out a product, then maybe God gave somebody else the knowledge so his people could have it for free. And his people who are real Christians are going to listen and they're going to test and they're going to have it in their homes for free.
Uh, then we have somebody. I mean, enlightened for truth. He says that he uses the solar panels, the LEDs to light solar panels, and the way he does it is that I have done the same with solar panels in a cube with LEDs in the center. So it means he runs four solar panels. For you, you run two.
Hmm.
You sandwich two between one.
Yes.
So for him, if he's able to do like a cube, it means he's able to generate a lot of energy. Can you be able to share a picture on my email, maybe later on? This guy called Enlighten for Truth.
You asking me or him?
No, I'm asking him if you can be able to
Okay.
share maybe later on. He says six solar panels actually. Oh, I see a cube. Oh,
Yeah.
a cube six.
No, that's possible. I can give you the YouTube video that
Yeah.
shows it's an older video, but what it was, it says that I have a what we call it. It was on Iron Man, the movie, where he quotes a name out for the cube that they had. Do you know what I'm talking about? On Iron Man, they had that cube.
Yeah. I think the first Iron Man movie or something. Yeah.
Yes. Uh, I'm trying to think of the name. I'm trying to trigger my brain to remember the name. Um, but what it is, that's a real word. It's a cube inside of a cube. Okay, that's what it means. A cube inside of a cube. So what I did is I took um, some foam board, made a cube,
Yeah.
wrapped my LEDs around the cube, and I had four sides. And I put solar on each one of the four sides. And then I put it through a DC converter. And then I got some usable 12-volt energy out of it. It didn't have much current, but that wasn't the point. The point is that I got usable energy out. It was very little. So again, what we start doing is we start adding our MOSFET circuit. But that's not the point of the video. The point of the video is that you can actually use LED light to by itself to get some type of usable energy. It's just not very much. When you add the MOSFET circuit into there, it increases that amount of energy that you can get access to. So again, people are coming back on my thing and saying, yeah, you're right. MOSFETs do make pulse current, and you can use that pulse current. And if I got the energy in the first place from my solar, okay, that's the
Yeah.
difference between me and Maxwell. Maxwell is using radio waves, I'm using solar. So you know that solar puts out this energy. And then I put the MOSFET just to get enough current, not to run it at high speeds that I believe Maxwell is doing. It's just enough power to give you your current out to charge your batteries. If I do that for each panel or unit, then what you end up with is a bunch of units, which you see in the big stack that I've made, all giving out that same power, and I can hook them together to make as much energy as I want. And that's the basis of this. And it's very simple. I've shown it. I show people how to do it. It's not very hard. It's easy to take some LED lights and sandwich them between two solar. And the circuit, I've already given out the circuit design on how to switch a MOSFET. And many other people on YouTube have given this out. So that's common knowledge. It's just you have to go out and use it. And once you do, you have a basis of creating something for free. And this gives you all the energy you ever want.
Okay. Yeah. I saw somebody also saying that I try saying that he agrees that Maxwell cannot be able to patent his technology because he's using what has already been used by other people. I think I saw that comment somewhere, which he says he agrees with what you usually say.
Well, like I said, that's common sense. Anybody who has common sense can just look and say, "Hey, this guy knows those components. These components do this. If those components um, didn't do that, then why are they on the device? Why are they on all of his devices? See, even on his TV, and the MOSFET is hidden because it's up under the um, aluminum heat sink. We know it's there is because we know which components heat up and need to be cooled by a heat sink.
Yeah.
Okay, that's your MOSFET. So it was like, wait a minute, name another component that heats up like this. You, you don't need a heat sink for a transformer. Okay, you don't need a heat sink for resistors. You need a heat sink for MOSFETs. So you can hide it or not. Those things make amps current. Okay,
Yeah.
therefore they need to be cool because amps heat up stuff. They get hot.
And test test for hand. You're trying to join so many times, but you
Okay,
don't want to unmute, man. You can say something if you're still around.
okay. Can I ask one question, please?
You seem to be very far from.
Okay. Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Okay. The first question is from the Maxwell Chicken Bustos device. How the radio frequency is sufficient to power heavy load uh, unless there is another mechanism, because the input voltage is very low from the ambient or from the antenna. The voltage is very low, so that voltage cannot power the heavy load. So I think there, whether there may be some other mechanisms, like maybe if you know the Barbosa and the Lil device, which is are an over unity device, which is invented by the two Brazilian brothers, which is known as Earth electron capture generator, which collects electrons from the Earth and uh, amplify or collect that electron from the Earth and then add that electron to the circular loop and amplify the current in that big conductor. So the output power will exceed the input power. Unless there is such kinds of device, how the small voltage can power uh, this big load? This is my first question. And the other one is, if the MOSFET is triggered or switched on and off at high frequency, that is actually very high frequency, and it is very similar to that of the induction cooker, which is working based on the eddy current, which is considered as a loss in electromagnetic devices like transformers and so on. So switching
I
on. Hello.
No, I understand your question.
Okay.
You
So
want
switching
you
at high frequency, for example, let's say 20 kilohertz, and so on. So switching at this high frequency means generating very huge amount of heat. So there is no any mechanism from, for example, from the TV, self-powering TV. There is a small type of device which is connected to the television. So how that heat is protected, or the MOSFET is protected from such high temperature?
okay? You want me to answer the question?
Yes.
Okay. Um, When you're switching something back and forth, you're right. Um, I would say you're not losing any power when you do that. So you have to look at the example on how they switch something and how you can switch something in another component. Same thing. If you take permanent magnets, that means the magnetic energy coming out from it is free. If you glue that to a board and you spin it, the energy that you're using is in the motor itself. So if you're using a solar panel to turn the motor, the magnets go past the copper, which the eddy currents that you're talking about goes into it. You're not expending any energy, and everything in that system is free. And you can cook on it, and you have no loss. Okay, that answers your first question. I mean your second question, right? I didn't hear him. Did he say right?
Okay. If you hear me, there is a
Yes.
small voltage from the atmosphere, from this ambient energy. He said that the energy is coming from the radio wave.
Yes. You
There
okay,
is,
so you want to know how he's able to take that energy and boost it up, right?
yes, there are so many circuits we know to
Okay.
from the
Okay.
antenna we
Now
can generate
he,
small
here's
power that generate LED and also like the microchip and so on, but cannot
okay.
power the real load. I mean the big load.
Okay.
So how these huge voltage is generated?
So let me break it down into these sequence. One, it, can you take out of the atmosphere, okay, make a device that's harvest the energy from the atmosphere and get 12 volts? Do you know the answer to that question?
How it's possible to get 12 volts? Because I don't see any practical circuit that
You're not no,
uh,
see now you're deferring
induce
from the
12 volts.
answer. Right now we're trying to get you to the answer. So if you break this down, you'll see what I'm talking about. But if you jump from one point to another, then none of us understand. All I'm asking you is a question. Can we at least get 12 volts from the atmosphere?
No,
No. So you mean I can't harvest 12 volts from the atmosphere?
in
The
such a way,
world is
yes.
big. Okay. See, yes, we have devices that can take because we got corona motors. If you know what a corona motor is, we can get 12 volts out of the atmosphere alone. If you can take 12 volts because that equals a battery. If you can only get 6, that still equals a battery. It puts out 12 volts. That's potential energy. But we need current now. So the MOSFET takes very low voltage signal to turn it on and off. If you make it go on and off at high speeds, then it starts to put out the current needed. And we're talking about high currents. And the more MOSFETs you have, the higher the current you have. We can take, for example, a inverter, which we say a 2000 watt inverter, a 3000 watt inverter. Can I run a 2000 watt inverter off a 12 volt 100 amp battery? The answer is yes. But wait a minute. That 12 times 100 amps only equals in the thousands. It doesn't equal to 2000. So where did we get this other 1000 watts from? They come from the MOSFETs. This is the reason why I put it on my YouTube channel. And in induction cells, where do we get this power from? This extra power. It comes from the MOSFETs. They put it in cars. So they've been using this for hundreds and hundreds of years, but they've been keeping it a secret because none of you guys understand that they've been using this stuff and the components. So only engineers, people who understood that you can take a very low voltage uh, and then turn it into AC current on the output from a MOSFET. Only an engineer seems to know this answer, but AI knows this answer. So if you put those questions into AI, it's going to give you, yeah, it's called transient energy. And most scientists want to get rid of that transit energy because the spikes damage their equipment. And
Okay.
so you have to study that.
We also eh, taste farm. We also have somebody called Gerald.
Hello,
I think
hello.
you to talk about solar. You are talking about the solar panel.
Can you hear me at this moment?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I have built a solar panel cube at a 10-watt panels, and they're four in of course the square, one on the bottom, one on the top, and I have a ball of LEDs that I had soldered together. They run off of about 12 volts, maybe 13, and the panels are creating in series 65 volts. So I run that to ground and I capture that through capacitors and I take that capacitance and I charge a battery with it. And I can
Yeah.
do a lot more with it.
Yes.
And it runs all day long, all night long, if I wanted it to.
Yes.
It's sitting in my closet. So it's just a matter of creating voltage differences and then allowing that difference to flow and capturing that flow. And then taking that difference between the high, say 65 volts, and your zero ground. And because it's got a flow from 65 to zero, there's a current that's created. And you can capture that and use it. And if you add MOSFETs to it, you can take that current that's been created and switch it really fast through an inductor, creating even a higher voltage, and use that. And then, of course, there's cascading MOSFETs that, again, like Lloyd was saying, it allows the creation of more current to happen through the flow of each MOSFET and inductor through voltage differences. It's amazing tech.
Mm.
So I
But it's
want to
old
applaud
tech.
you. I want to applaud you, Lloyd, for your solar panels. I was looking at it and I was calling it the what was it now? Cream cheese cake of solar panels because there was layers.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
Right. Right. But like I said, they're more upset at me giving the information out for free. And you have to understand this one thing. That's at the infancy. That it's just a little baby that I gave out for free.
Yep.
But I've improved the system, and it comes with the understanding that you have to switch something at high speeds. And when
Yeah.
you start to think on those lines, then you start to come up with other solutions, which I have, because I built a generator, and we call it a hyperdrive, not because it's a cool name, it's because we're working off the speed of something to generate not only the little current that we have in our solar cells and panels and stuff like that, but we're talking about megawatts and gigawatts of energy being put to produced out.
I
So
believe
when we're right, when we're talking about this, we're seeing that we're taking the technology that we have and we're building on that and making something better. But we're trying to get everybody on the same playing field. If they can quote words about voltage and amps, they should be able to do a system like this.
I
You know
agree.
what I'm saying?
The You know what it is? The physicists in the science community throw out all this alphabet soup in order to confuse everybody so that they don't know how to build this stuff. Because I, like
Yes.
you, took it to another level. I had a
Yeah.
dream with Jesus Christ, and he showed me how to build a special coil, and I've taken it from there, and just with the switching and the amount of power that I'm getting out, I can't even describe to you how insane it is. And the anomalies I'm seeing, unbelievable. This free energy is absolutely real. I'd stand
Yes.
by it 1,000%. I've
Well,
been trying to get it out.
we'll say this for history's sake. His free energy has been around ever since we use water in a stream to turn a water wheel. Free
Agreed.
energy has been around ever since we took a propeller and put it in the wind and let the wind blow it. That's free
Agreed.
energy.
Yeah.
Okay, we had free energy ever since we had solar panels, which was in the 1800s, and took all this time to even start using solar. So we've had free energy for very long. Thermal energy. I could just keep going on all the free energy devices out there are been used over the years. Do you know the um, people of the Himalayan mountains? Used the mountains to dry freeze their food so it would last basically forever. That's this free.
That's
That's
free
not a
energy.
refrigerator that they sell. That's a free device. They just take the food up into the mountains and then wimmo, they got something for free. That means Mother Nature provides. Mother Nature, God made and gave us. He said the meek should inherit the earth. And yet no one understands what God has given us.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. I've been working with something close to what Maxwell's been doing, but my coil systems are a little different. But it's the same principle. It's switching very fast, creating a high voltage, and filling up capacitor banks as that high voltage flows to ground. And I can use that power all day long. I can charge 10 batteries at once with a 12-volt input.
Have you watched my videos?
I've watched quite a few, not all of them. I'm catching up.
Did you hear me mention a Mal's device and show you the pictures of his coils?
Which device? I'm sorry.
Mal. He
No,
has a YouTube channel.
I haven't seen that one.
Okay, so whole point is that it's a guy out there. You have to find his channel, and he's doing Nikolai Tesla's patents
Yeah.
verbatim. I mean, he's showing you the patents, and then he's showing you how it was wound, and he makes the bucking coil.
Yeah.
Okay, so once you understand this bucking coil, any any energy that you put in it at high gigabytes, I'm talking about the very energy that will kill you and me.
Yep.
If you put that through his device, it acts as a Faraday cage. And that Faraday cage will then take that and use it as a usable energy. Now, I'm
Sounds
giving you a little bit more information that I should because I don't want people using radiation and what's names. But just say that we're one of the books that I put out and I gave it to Webb is a nuclear battery and it
nice.
works on the same principle.
Nice. Yeah. Mhm. The systems I'm working on are a little different than I think you're describing, but at the same time, um, yeah, I'm pulling right now 2 kW out of a 12-volt battery, and I could start the system with a watch battery.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, this is
So
possible.
yeah, it's just the switching. It's all on how it operates and how the circuit
It,
goes.
isn't it funny that when they showed that the MOX generator can take something from 1.5 into 100,000 volts of power?
Yes, and then what do they do with that power?
Nothing. They just
Exactly.
they, they just wasted. They say, "Oh, look at the sparks. Look at the pretty sparks," and they don't tell you anything else. But here's what I tell you: because once they made that, because Tesla did the same thing, he set
Yep.
a chair and these enormous electrical sparks was dancing around him. The whole point is that now you take that voltage and you put it into a high frequency.
Yep.
This was the video I did about the speaker. Did you see that one?
Yes, I did see that one.
Okay. So anytime that you do that, which is telling you that speaker is a electromagnetic wave, and anytime you send it back and forth at high speeds, you're going to be able to light those 100 LED lights
Yep.
easily.
I get
So
what
we
you're
broke.
saying. Yeah, I
Right.
totally get what you're saying. I do. Because that's kind
Right.
of the same principle that I use. My coils are bucking coils, but they're 180 degrees out of phase. They're not like regular bifilar coils, they're different. And they
Right.
do the same thing. They create electromagnetic waves. And I have pickup coils on the outside of the coil that picks up all the power so that I can keep the system spinning, keep it flowing as I'm collecting the power, and it takes nothing off the primary battery.
Right.
Yeah, I just
That
create the field and then I tap the field.
that's because you're creating a wave. And
Yeah,
I just got through telling Webb the same thing. Once you put something in a in a wave, how many people can take that radio wave and get the signal without exhausting the original point? It's unlimited. So this is the reason why I tell people to try to break it down. I was like, look, if you put out a radio wave, how many people can listen to that radio? He said unlimited. So you're doing the same thing. You're putting out an electromagnetic wave and it's unlimited power.
absolutely. And I capture it all in one system. There was a question. Yeah. My name is Gerald, and my channel is WPG Enlighten for Truth 2.
I've I have placed a link. There is a link in the. They can be able to see it in the chat section,
Thank you very much, Chris.
and also I can see. I was using. I'm using a free version of the streaming software. It tells me that I have, I think, 3 minutes to go,
Okay.
or two
Okay.
minutes. I'll pay for it so that next time we can be able to hang out around for long.
Well, I appreciate you
Right.
guys inviting me on. I'm Gerald. Lloyd,
Yeah.
I've watched your stuff. Chris, I've been watching your stuff for the last little bit. This Maxwell excitement has gone everywhere, and I hope it continues. So I thank you for bringing me on and appreciate the time. I wanted to just say that.
You have seen your channel. I've subscribed. If I think other people can also go and subscribe to you.
Yeah,
I
I've
see
been
you.
working
You
on
have a lot of tech stuff. Huh?
Yeah, well, I've been working on it for a while. In fact, I got so close to it that they hacked my first channel, my Facebook,
Yeah.
my X account. I can't get any social media except for YouTube. I'm locked out of my Facebook, everything because of the tech I work on. So we're all in the same boat.
Yes, because I experienced the same thing. And the guy I was telling you about, Mel,
Yep,
they literally are erasing his comments and other things so they can't tell other people. So we're all experienced this. But once you get onto these programs and you're letting people know that they're doing this, this proves that it's not a conspiracy theory, is that they're actually doing this.
I recorded it in real time, Lloyd, while it happened. So
Yes.
proof.
So we're going
Yes.
to it's going to lose connection in in
Okay, well, if
15
we lose connection, it was good meeting you both, and
in
hopefully
15
we'll meet
seconds.
again.
We can try again tomorrow.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
good night for everyone who
Better
is
day.
going to sleep or to bed.
Okay, well, I will
Okay.
watch.
Or is still around. I think
Okay, well, if we get cut off, I'll be watching for you guys tomorrow, and if you invite me on, I'll try and show a little demo.
it seems like it is still around, but it was supposed to cut like 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, it still
Well,
says live.
they're probably trying to surprise you. You're probably going to say something critical and then it's going to go out. So
Yeah,
say something important and watch it go.
okay. I create electromagnetic vortex coils that have an output of anywhere between 10 and 100 times output. And I can change the temperature of the room that they're operating in to a colder temperature because I cycle the heat so